Tyler.
Yeah.
Where you at?
It's a little bit early, ain't it? You gonna let that play through or no?
No, heck no. Let's freaking get this show on the road.
Okay. All right.
Huh? Episode 18, Future Motocross Radio. This is going to be a good one.
You gonna play the bumper? You good? Like your radio DJ?
All right, today we have Mr. Michael Byrne on the show. Chance Hymas. Dukey's here for the 90th time. And Mr. Tyler Kasha Productions making it happen today.
That's me.
So today we are on episode 18 of Future Motocross Radio, and I'm super stoked.
Where's the captain?
Captain's out doing captain things. Anyway, I'm running the show today. Hopefully it turns out good for everybody that listens on YouTube and our podcast on Spotify and Apple. So today we have Michael Byrne, like I said, while I was getting over the music, trying to do a new intro way of doing things. And we have Mr. Chance Hymas. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
First podcast ever.
Yeah, you mentioned it was first podcast ever.
Yeah.
Won't be your last.
Hey, but you'll never forget the first.
Exactly.
So that's cool. And Mr. Dukey, how are you doing, sir?
Good to be here.
All right. So let's get this show started. Burner, Moto Blueprint. How's it going for you? I know you've been on the show before, and you know you talked about how it's working with you and what your goals are, and how's it going at this point?
It's been going good. It's not as far as like getting up the website and stuff like that, so that everyone can have access to it. I've been pretty busy, so I'm still working on that. But Chance is, he's on board with Moto Blueprint,
nice.
And I have Jonah and Lucas Geisler now. So it's growing, and obviously just being at the property at the compound, it's just been a lot of work. Trying to get these boys ready,
Compound or dog pound?
Oh, the dog pound.
Dukey, help me out over here, buddy. Help me out.
Good Lord, we made it 3 minutes in.
I thought some aliens were flying in to freaking screw with us. Well, that's good. That's good. So you took on Jonah.
Yep, I got Jonah. He is only really like a month in, so
nice.
Obviously the main focus has been Chance since end of October.
Right.
We were working together a little bit, like after, I think, after Loretta's.
Yeah, it was after Loretta's.
Yeah, so after Loretta's, and then leading up to the combine races at the Nationals, but that was only for like 2 or 3 weeks. So now we've actually had a full 14-week prep preseason for Supercross.
Yeah, because he's making his pro debut coming up here shortly, and which we're going to get into.
Yep.
We're going to start from the beginning with Chance, as far as amateurs and how this all came about. Originally from Pocatello, Idaho.
Yes, sir.
I looked up Pocatello on the map in Idaho, and it's kind of out there in the middle of nowhere.
Kinda. So the main interstate that goes to there, I'm only about 2 hours from Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So I live right off the interstate there, but Pocatello is still pretty big for being in Idaho.
Yeah.
But it's not super big.
Right.
But I've grown up there my whole life, never lived anywhere else, and being in Florida since July of 2020 or 2022. So that's my first time ever actually being outside of Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah, like so Pocatello is kind of like where 86 and 15 meet. I was looking. I've been to Idaho quite a bit. Never been there. Only been to like the major parts of Idaho, and very beautiful state for sure. So very fortunate that you're from there.
Yeah, it's really rad. I grew up riding in the mountains there, and lots of scenery.
So you were born what, in 2005?
Yep.
Correct. May 25th of 2005.
You trying to make us feel old?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm old.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young man, but he's just getting his deal dialed and he's getting going.
I'm gonna put a silver alert out for Shane.
So May 25th, 2005, at what age did you start riding a motorcycle?
I think I got my first dirt bike when I was 4 years old. Yeah, I got a CRF 50
Yeah.
ripping around the backyard.
Heck yeah. I've actually had the chance of meeting your dad a few times. Super nice guy. He was involved in motorcycles out there in Idaho, correct?
Right. So he grew up riding a little bit, never did any racing really. But he owns a dealership in Pocatello,
Nice.
Honda dealership. And so I grew up around dirt bikes. My two older brothers, they raced a little bit. And so I just kind of like, family trait, riding dirt bikes. So
Right,
it just kind of,
dirt bike family.
right, came down to me. But yeah, it was just, he's been around it for a while and loves dirt bikes and wanted to pass it down to all three of us.
Very nice. So at what point you got your first dirt bike at 4 years old? At what point do you actually start racing a dirt bike besides riding?
Right. I think it was we had a good local series around us called RMX, and we became friends with the owners. And their kids, they have 3 boys, and they're all the same age as us. They're about a year older, I think. But we all grew up just kind of going to races together and just did local stuff. And then once I made the jump from a 50 to 65 pretty early. I think I got on 65 when I was like 6 years old. And for a local level, my speed was really good. So I kind of ventured out. At the time, California had like Gold Cups and kind of like what they do here. And it ended up being like I did pretty good at the Gold Cups, and it turned into my dad taking me to a couple of nationals.
So you did Gold Cups in California, you say?
Yeah,
So you guys started traveling pretty early.
right. So I would have been 6 or 7 or 8.
Wow. So at what point did you start actually going to like the national level as far as an amateur, like traveling outside of California and Idaho on the West Coast to where you started going onto the national scene?
Yeah, I think my first national was Mammoth 2013. I didn't do Loretta's or the Freestone or any of that. Back then they had a Dodge National at Hangtown. It was the Fly National for a little bit after that, but I did that a little bit with the people from the RMX series, their boys. We did that with them. And 2014, I didn't do Freestone, but I qualified for Loretta's. So I did Loretta's, and then the next year, I only did Mammoth and Loretta's. Because if I remember, I broke my leg in 2014, then like 2 months later, broke my wrist, got surgery on it. So I wasn't really on a dirt bike that much, but I qualified for Loretta's, and that was it. And I did pretty good at Loretta's. I won a moto, and it kind of went from there. Like I got a little bit of KTM support, not a lot, but I got a little bit. And being from Idaho with Fly Racing being in Boise,
Right.
3 hours from me, they helped me out a bunch too with gear, and with WPS, like they help support.
Yeah.
So it just made it a little bit easier on us to go travel and race with expenses and stuff.
So what size bike were you on at the time where you started going out to, the bigger races?
I was on a 65.
65s.
Yeah.
So you got out there pretty damn early.
Yeah. I did Loretta's a couple times on 65s and Mammoth, and that was it. My dad, we didn't go to Freestone. We didn't travel very far.
Right.
I only went to Loretta's a couple times. That was the farthest east I ever went. And then 2016 was the first time I ever did Freestone, and that was on a KTM 85.
So any success on mini bikes at Loretta's or any of the big national the national races?
I didn't really have, I had some good rides here and there, but in 2016, where I was on a KTM 85, I would get good starts, and my speed was good enough I could run up front, especially in the older classes. So that helped me out, and I won a title at Mammoth in 2016. I pulled like 5 out of 6 hole shots. I was tiny on a mod KTM 85.
Wow, yeah.
So I won a championship there, and after Mammoth, that's when because I got sponsored by Team Green.
Right.
So that's how that kind of came about, because I had a few good rides, and I forgot about Cal Classic. I also had good rides there. I think I won a moto. But I never really won any titles. I mean, maybe 3 or 4 titles on mini bikes. And even when I got on Cowies, I never really did anything until I got on big bikes.
Right, right. Well, we'll get to your big bike amateur career, which obviously is pretty recent in the last, 4 or 5 years or 4 years. Burner, you're working with Chance now, you say, since Loretta's.
Yeah, I was maybe like 3 or 4 weeks off Loretta's, or 3 weeks off Loretta's.
Yeah, it wasn't like the full thing, but after Loretta's, I spent some time, like I didn't do any racing after Loretta's, so he was there at the track with me, helping me out. Like I wasn't on the full Moto Blueprint program,
Right.
but he was there helping me and doing all that.
Right.
Yeah, his dad and I had spoke, and it was like, hey, we talked about working together and stuff, and I just told his dad, like, hey, let's just kind of do a trial period, let's see.
Right.
Let's see if this is going to work, because there's nothing worse than, getting into an agreement with somebody if nobody's all in. So it's like, hey, let's just do a little trial period, see if it's going to work, see how we work together, and just go from there. And that'll be a good lead up for these, what were they? Combine races.
Yeah, the combine. Yeah.
And obviously,
which I'll bring up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to be there anyway, just because I was going to be a coach. So it was a good lead up and just a good trial period to see if everything was going to work. And it seemed like we got along well. The communication was good. The effort was good. So we just kind of went from there. And then after the combines, then it was like, hey, let's do the deal and jump on board Moto Blueprint, and we'll get you ready for Supercross.
So is the Moto Blueprint that obviously is your program that you have? How did you come up with the Moto Blueprint, or is it your own idea, or is it based off of something that was already established, or how does that work?
I mean, it was something I've actually wanted to do for a long time. There's already some people out there that do programs and stuff like that kind of beat me to it, but pretty much, I don't know, even when I was working for Chad, I'd always wanted to do something to where when it gets online and I get the website going, then you'll be able to, I guess you'd be like a subscriber, so there's different levels of the program, and you can pick which level you want, and the program would be custom tailored to that individual. So it's not just a standard, hey, here's your thing for everybody. It's, what does that individual need? So that was, that's what the goal and the vision is to produce something like that, so that each individual is getting what they want out of a program, and obviously Chance's situation's a little different because that's not just an online thing.
It's a different level of training.
It's a different level because I'm with him all the time at the track every time he rides, and but the online stuff would be like, hey, here's your 6 days a week training program. This is your goal to get to, even if you're a local warrior and you just want to get in shape, or if you're an amateur guy or a pro guy, like, hey, here's your 6 days a week of training.
Does it also come down to workout, off the bike, as far as diet, workout? I mean, is it across the board?
Yeah, no, it's across the board. Not so much on the diet side. Feel like I would need to bring somebody else in for that. I mean, obviously I know a lot just from my own racing career and the own people I spent money on, but the program is more cardio, gym, and riding.
So you don't know if Chance is eating pizza and wings, or?
I mean, he is 17, so if he is, I just have to work it out of it.
You got to find ways of getting rid of all that nastiness that he's putting in his body.
Yeah, I mean, he's lean and mean, so I'm not so worried about that. So
how, Chance? I'm not trying to fast forward, but you're from Idaho. You're out here in Florida now. How did that happen? Like, what made that decision?
So, being with Factory Honda, obviously Jet and Hunter being out here and being at the compound, those guys, it kind of was like, I've been in Idaho. I never went anywhere. And it was just like, I kind of wanted to try something different, and the opportunity was there. So we kind of made the stars align, got a bike out here,
Right.
and obviously Dazzy was all for it.
Yeah.
Because I kind of grew a relationship with all three of those guys throughout the year.
Right.
But yeah, they were stoked on me coming out. You know, it's just like if I'm gonna be riding with anybody, Jet and Hunter are the two best guys in the class.
That's what I was about to say. It's got to help you.
Right. It's got value, and for me, it was a change. So I'm not gonna do the same Loretta's prep that I've done the last 6, 7, 8 years.
I mean, can you honestly say that like coming out here has benefited you away as far as obviously riding different tracks? The dirt out here is different. You know, the all the above is different from being out on the West Coast.
Right. Yeah. Climate, everything. It's a lot more humid out here, a lot hotter. And I mean, not even just the riding, just being out here, because I'm living by myself, and it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of helped me became more mature.
Yeah.
And I feel like that helps lead to the training side of riding. Like for me being out here, it feels more real than where I was at home.
Well, it's gotta weigh on you a little bit as far as like being more responsible. Like you're the one that has to wake up in the morning. You're the one that has to go do what you need to do. I mean,
right.
That's kind of cool in my opinion, because a lot of kids are, you know, handled by their parents every step of the way, and so you're out here on your own.
Yeah,
I think it either forces you to, you're either going to sink or swim, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
he's swimming right now, so
Yeah.
got to keep swimming.
I mean, that's a cool story. You're still a young man, and you're out here being responsible enough to do your job, because honestly what you're about to step into is doing your job. It's not going to be amateur racing anymore, and you got to either put up or shut up, you know.
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
17. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool story.
yeah. I mean, right now I'm all in. I mean, I'm spending money. I hired Burner to be my trainer, and obviously I'm spending money to be at the compound. I'm living out here, and yeah, I'm thankful that my parents trust me to do what I'm supposed to do out here, and have enough trust in me that I'll do the right thing. And also the people I'm staying with in Claremont. I mean, it's, you know how the market is right now. Everything's expensive, and they're letting me live there rent free, and it's like I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. You staying away from the girls?
No.
All right, let's drop that. Well, very cool, very cool. Dukey, how's it going, man? How's it going on the future motocross team for you, buddy? You guys staying busy?
The motocross team is making progress, surely but slowly.
Yeah, you guys are right around the corner from going to Supercross.
Yep. Next week, leave next Thursday to go to Houston, and it's definitely going to be an experience.
Well,
It's going to be a good experience. Good experience.
definitely rooting for the boys. We're all
Absolutely.
we're all Florida local family here, so it's very cool. I can't wait to see what happens with that. You know, you guys, RJ, and everybody that's involved has been putting in a lot of work, especially Dukey. You know, 6-7 days a week.
Absolutely.
You see Dukey out there on the pit board.
Yeah.
Little stopwatch out there.
Hey, I mean, Dukey, come on. I know that you take, and everybody knows that you take your job seriously, and that's part of the program with guys to, you know, become successful.
Well, I do take it serious, and sometimes I get a little too serious, and then I get myself in trouble. But
Well, how do you get in trouble, Dukey? You just, you know.
I say things probably I shouldn't say.
Oh, so Dukey has a problem keeping his mouth shut sometimes.
Well,
I'm shocked.
I speak the truth. And some of these guys, especially the new guys that like we're dealing with, pretty green,
Right.
they can't handle that. So
Yeah, but in the long run, they'll thank you for being truthful instead of
that's-
just telling them what they want to
you're
hear.
right.
So Dukey doesn't blow smoke. That's what I got out of that. Well, good for you, Dukey.
That's just my personality. Some people can't handle it, but it's real.
All right. Well, hey, next week you're going to be in it.
Next week, it's going to be real.
Yeah, it's going to be real.
When you see my head pop off next week, that's real. There's Duke. His top of his head's missing.
So,
Just make sure you get a fresh cut on that before you.
Oh, I will. Yeah, she'll be looking good.
so Chance, you dabbled into minis at Supercross at Monster Cup.
Yeah.
back in the day? Well, not back in the day. It's not that long ago. But what was your first one?
Back in my day, man.
Was that
2008,
like 2 years ago?
yeah,
Yeah.
2018. You were on a mini at Monster Cup.
Yeah, 2018, I raced Super Mini. I was 13, barely 13.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that was actually no, I was 12. Yeah, I was
12 years old.
Yeah, I was 12 years old.
racing at Monster Cup.
Yeah, I did it 2018 and 2019. So, because 2019 you had to qualify for it. That's when they first did the futures or whatever.
Right.
2018 it was invite only still, but dude, I hated Supercross. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Really?
Dude, it was so scary. I mean, I've been on Super Mini for less than a year. I maybe did like a month of riding Supercross, maybe a month and a half. My timing wasn't great, and just like, just first time riding Supercross, stuff's big.
But you still ended up third.
Dude, I don't know how. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know how.
You probably kept her on 2 wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just kept it on 2 wheels.
Yeah,
What? You said you were 12.
I was 12.
So what goes through your mind when you show up at something like that at 12 years old, and you know you're gonna have to race in front of all those people?
Dude, I was scared. Not really scared, just nervous.
Yeah.
Like it was just, I've never raced in a packed stadium before. It's Monster Cup, everyone's there.
Yeah.
And
Everybody
track,
from SoCal's there. Everybody
Yeah.
from Nevada's there. Like,
we're
that's
in
into
Vegas.
racing.
It was
Yeah.
Vegas.
Of course.
It's a lot to take in when you're 12.
Yeah, and it was, the track was gnarly. Like,
Yeah.
I remember they had the finish line was an over under, but it was a big double.
Yep.
And dude, there's even big bikes were just carwheeling off that thing. And then there's
And you're watching that before you go out. And
Yeah.
You're just like, you gotta be kidding me.
and the class was pretty stacked that year too. I think there's 6 of us that were actually like pretty fast. I think I qualified like 8th or something because I wouldn't.
Who'd you go up against that night?
Voland. It was Voland, Kate and Emerine, my 2 teammates. It was Ryder D and Romano.
Yeah.
There's a couple other KTM guys I think that were pretty good. I think Varese raced it. Yeah, a couple other. Talon Hawkins.
Okay, so
Yeah, it was pretty stacked.
that was
I was Amarine's mechanic.
oh Dukey was there.
Yeah. I got second.
Yeah, Duke beat me.
Oh man. I mean,
I'm a fan, and that's probably when I became a fan.
That's a lot.
Chance
That's a
Hymas.
lot of guys in the mini class back there that not back then, 2018, that are obviously becoming big names now. You know,
Right.
so that was a pretty stacked class
Yeah.
for mini bikes.
And it was a lot of dudes that I never really raced, and we got thrown into one class.
Yeah.
Because I was always that age younger. My dad always put me in the older age groups,
Yeah.
there's no point in chasing kids that are younger than you.
Right.
So he always put me in the older stuff, and that was my first time actually racing people that some of those guys were 16,
Yeah.
almost 17, and it was, I don't know, it was pretty wild for me. I think I went 5-3 for third,
Yeah.
and
So what did you feel when the race was over at 12 years old and you're standing on the podium? You're just like,
I was so stoked.
I bet.
Stoked was an understatement, honestly. But I think I was more glad that the night was over.
Yeah.
But I mean, to backtrack a little bit, when I was doing training for that at Milestone, there's the smallest dragons back there, dude.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is like my 3rd week riding Supercross, 4th week.
Right.
Endoed off that thing. Like I missed the top whoop, full endo. I didn't ride for like a week. I had my face was black and blue. And that Dragon's back at Monster Cup, dude, I didn't do it till the 2nd qualifying session. Everyone did it but me. I was like, dude, I'm not doing this thing.
He was on our radar, though. I mean, we watched him, and we would talk about him when we went back. I said, you got to be careful of this cat right here. He's there.
Right.
He's there. Mr. Hymas is there.
So did you, obviously you felt like on top of the world getting on the podium, but at what point in your amateur career where you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do?
It was probably my last year on Super Minis. I mean, because I struggled on the Cowie 85s and Super Minis. I was always fast, but I could never get starts.
Yeah.
And it's on the Cowie 85s and Super Minis, like it's, if you're a little kid, like kind of how Ryder D was when I raced him, like he was a little guy. And that if you can get a start on those things, like you're good. I could never get a start. Like there was times I was the fastest guy, but I couldn't do anything when I started 15th.
Right.
And not when the 2 fastest guys start 1st and 2nd, I start 15th. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's it was a struggle for me. Like I never really had any breakout rides. I never really won any titles on 85, so I struggled, and obviously like mentally I was like, I don't like, where am I going with this? And then I raced Monster Cup in 2019, and that was my last race on Super Minis.
That was the last one.
Yeah, and I
P5.
P5, not good. I went 8-2.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure after 18 you expected to go in there and, smash it, but
I should have won. If, like, based on speed, I should have won, but shoulda, woulda, coulda.
yeah.
I got cleaned out first moto on the start, so I came from last to 8th. And, I mean, it was what it was. I mean, fair, you beat me, so it was what it was. But after that, I raced Ponca. Ponca was the weekend after, and that was my first national race on a big bike. And I won 2 or 3.
In 19.
In 19.
So you transitioned right after that in 19 after that Monster Cup race, and then you went to big bikes.
Yeah.
And went to Ponca on a big bike.
Yeah. So I ended up buying a big bike. I bought a 250 when I was on my last year on Super Minis.
What brand?
It was Cowie.
Cowie.
Yeah. And so I rode it. I just practiced on it for a year, just did free ride and stuff on it. And so I got my contract extension for 2 years, because I had a 3-year deal on 85s, and I got a contract extension for 2 years for big bikes.
Through Team Green?
Through Team Green.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, sick. Because I knew once I got on a big bike, I was going to be good. And so that next weekend, I won 2 or 3 at Ponca, and I I kept riding the big bike. I was stoked. I was off a mini bike. I could actually get good starts. I feel like the bike suited me better. And so we went to AZ Open in 2019, and I raced. It was my first kind of big national. There wasn't a lot of guys at Ponca that year, but at AZ Open, I raced Thrasher and Reynolds, Jet Reynolds, and I won both titles. I beat them both, and
nice.
That was like kind of like the turning point for me.
That's where you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and the way they had it set up is at AZ Open, it was 250B and Schoolboy 2, and they made them 20-minute motos, but there was only a 2-moto format. And coming in, I was like, I don't know really where I really stack up, because obviously Jet and Thrasher were like the top guys, especially Jet being on our team. Like, he was the number 1 guy.
Right.
And they even had me race limited class there. And like they brought the race bike for me, but I had to bring my own stock bike. They had me race a limited class, and I ended up I got hole shots and checked out.
So you have to realize that you're obviously racing against the top names in the United States, and so at that point you're probably realizing, like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is, I can go up against any of these guys.
Right. And like I said, that was the turning point for me, because I knew I beat those guys, and it wasn't really that close either. And I was like, all right, I need to make this happen, because I just need that little bit of confidence, and I was good.
Yeah, perfect. So moving on from there, 2020, you won an AMA Amateur National title, Schoolboy BC?
Schoolboy 2.
Schoolboy 2. And that was at Loretta's.
My only title there.
Okay, that was my next question,
Yeah.
because so the only title you've ever had at Loretta's was on Schoolboy.
Yep. I went 2-3-1. The last moto is me, Thrasher, and Reynolds were all tied. Me and Reynolds lined up with Thrasher right in between us, and we came out and just sandwiched him. So, because he was, at the end of the week, Thrasher was probably the fastest one out of all of us, and so we sandwiched him. He got a bad start, and
Team tactics.
yeah.
Racecraft.
I mean, me and Jet weren't working together, but it just so happened that it worked out.
Yeah.
But he was leading, and Romano DNF'd one of the motos, but he was up front. Obviously, it was a factor in it. But Jet ended up crashing and threw it away, and so it was me and Romano battling, and I had to win the moto.
Yeah.
So I ended up passing him, and I started getting a little tired. And Thrasher, I could see Thrasher coming. It was like half a second each lap. I was like, dude, this is not good. And I got to the last lap, and I was like, I had a solid gap, and I cross-threaded coming off a double into the tank. Man, I was cross-threaded, cased it, rolled 4 of them. Then he was right on me. I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm going to lose this on the last lap. And he ended up making mistakes, so I won it. But I was like, dude,
Nice.
I mean, that was my seventh, eighth year going there. And, like, there's been so many times I've been so close to winning that
Right.
title. Like, I've won titles at every other national but there. I was like,
Right.
dude.
So, any other highlights from 2020 at other races that that
So-
really stand out to you?
Yeah, so that year, everything got canceled with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
But
Bad year for everyone.
yeah, so we raced underground that year for Texas Nationals because it goes from underground to freestone. But at underground, I won 2 or 3 titles. I think Kitchen beat me in 450B, but I beat Thrasher Reynolds. Actually, Reynolds didn't race, but I beat Thrasher there. Me and him battled in the 250 classes, so I beat him there. And we get to freestone. They did 10 practices, and then they canceled the event.
Yeah. So Thrasher's just not liking you at this point.
Nah, I don't.
You're
think,
running around beating him around the country.
Yeah, I don't think so.
2021. How did what kind of highlights did you have in 2021? I see that the spring and ding, the open pro sport, you mopped that up. Any other highlights from 2021?
Yeah, so I moved up to A class that year. Me and Levi battled a lot that year. I wouldn't say there was times he was faster than me, but we were all about the same speed, me and him. So it was every time we raced, it was fun, and I like racing Levi a lot, and I have a good friendship with him.
Yeah.
So that year we raced underground freestone, Loretta's. It was good, but I only won a title at freestone that year, or not freestone, underground. I got a lot of second places to Levi, unfortunately, but
2022 is a big year.
yeah. So end of 2021, I switched teams I got an offer from Factory Honda HRC.
I bet your dad was happy.
Oh, dude, loved it.
So you went from Team Green to Factory Kawasaki offered you something on the amateur side.
Factory Honda.
Factory Honda. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. You left Kawasaki and then Factory Honda. Was that? Would you say that they were wanting to? And I'll even ask Byrne this question: were they at a amateur level, because they don't really have a huge amateur deal? Were they wanting to bring you up
Yeah.
and
so,
get you in with Honda on the amateur side?
So it kind of came about in spring nationals in 2021. I never had an agent, but Lucas Myrtle, he's Jen Hunter's agent.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of connection with them and Honda, and so Myrtle always kind of just checked in with me, he kind of wanted to work with me, but at the time, I didn't need one. I didn't need an agent. I didn't have any contracts coming up. It was my contract year with Cowie, though, and I didn't really have anything in line to go to PC. So come June, we were kind of trying to get Cowie yo, what's the plan here? You guys gonna give me something, or what are we doing here? And Myrtle was he was getting to the point he was brought up the Honda thing. He's Honda's interested and they're willing to make a spot for you on the team because they've never had an amateur rider.
Right.
So they want to make this spot for you and have you in the end replace Jet on the team.
Holla.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool that, if you're a 16-year-old, 15-year-old kid.
That's why I'm asking the
Factory
question,
Honda, it's
because Honda's never really had this huge amateur program, at least since I've been in this sport.
Felt good.
Yeah, and I was 16 at the time when we started talking about it.
Yeah.
But it was just, we never really got anything from PC. We kept asking them, there's nothing there. We talked to Fahey, nothing. And then Myrtle brought up the Honda thing, and we're we'll sign with you if you can get us the Honda deal.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was. And then I ended up getting an offer from PC, but it was we're already into it. We got to see it. We got to see it through. If the deal's
Too late.
Yeah, so PC came in and a day late, dollar short, or however you want to call it.
Yeah, and I mean it was cool. I liked Mitch a lot, but it was at the point where I was on the bridge of becoming something that has never happened before.
Yeah.
Where if I go to Mitch, I'm one of his 5 guys.
Right.
Well, and it's hard on Mitch's side too, right? Because he's taken all your kids that he's got on Team Green, and
Right.
Yeah.
he's trying to have to pick, so.
Yeah, and it was I could go be teammates with, it was Faulkner and those guys, or I could go somewhere where they're making a spot for
You're
me.
kind of on your own program.
Right. They're making a spot for me, and it's, some would say it's probably the best team there is, Honda HRC Factor Honda.
They've always, since
It's-
day one,
yeah, it's
back
like-
in the early 1900s, they've always been a major player. I don't care what kind of racing it is, whether it's cars or motorcycles in the desert, it doesn't matter. That's very interesting. And honestly, just talking about it right now, I feel like that's a smarter move because they're going to put more effort. You're the only guy.
Right.
They're going to put more effort and time into you than say being on a team with 4 or 5 guys and everybody's just, I don't want to say everybody's just a number, but you kind of are, when you have that many guys on a team.
Right.
I think it's Suzuki, but I don't want to get into an argument. So
What about Suzuki?
I think they're just the top,
Oh, Tyler. They were.
Who still makes outboards?
They were.
You know when Suzuki was the top, when me and Burner worked at Suzuki.
Okay.
Yeah. They're still riding that same bike. And that was a long time ago.
And that was the first ever.
Listen, who still makes outboards, okay?
Yamaha, Suzuki,
everybody.
Honda.
Oh.
Well, very cool. So you transitioned to Honda. How's it been going?
Yeah, it was going good. They started me out on their because that's when they're making the jump from the 21 to the 22 bike. So they started me out on their 21 spec.
Yeah.
And it was good. I was on that thing all the way through December. Had good results. Won a couple nationals. Won some titles. And they swapped me over to the new bike, and it was good. I did kind of a Supercross prep a little bit. Then I had a small crash and got hurt. So I was in January of 2022. So I didn't ride for like a month. I did like a grade 1 AC separation, nothing major, but enough to where I had to take some time off.
Right.
So I missed a couple futures rounds, and I ended up doing Arlington, which would have been end of February. So I had like a few weeks on the bike, went there. Speed was good. I crashed in the whoops, jumping them, and Ryder beat me, but speed was good. Raced Spring Nationals, had some good finishes, won some titles, had some struggles, but then after Spring Nationals, worked on some Supercross to focus on the futures, and I did 3 futures rounds after Spring Nationals, and won all those. Won the futures final in Salt Lake, so that was good.
Very impressive on that one.
Yeah, thank you.
I watched it because Aiden was riding it, and
Right.
Man, you checked out, dude. That was amazing.
Yeah, I was working with Jake Weimer at the time, and my main focus was whoops, and I worked my butt off trying to be good in the whoops, and that's what really did it for me that night, was I could skim the whoops and nobody else could.
Right.
So that worked out for me. So that ending Supercross season on a high was good for me. And then when I switched to outdoors, that's when I would say kind of some struggles came. I wasn't super comfortable on the bike, and it kind of just throughout the summer at Mammoth, Redbud Combine, and Loretta's, I wasn't really comfortable on the bike. I wasn't in very good shape either. There was just a lot of little things that were missing.
Yeah.
So throughout the summer, you don't really know until you go racing. So mid-July, I'm riding good, and then I go to Loretta's and I don't do anything. So everyone's like, "Well, what do you got going on here?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'll figure it out. Whatever."
Was it?
Which is a lot of pressure too, right? You're riding for.
Yeah, you're riding for Factory Honda, and
The expectations.
you better show out. But what was it? A combination of your health, your strength, getting off the line, or just?
Yeah, there's a little bit of mixed everything. Some of it was me, some of it was the bike. I just never. A lot of people don't know this, but I pretty much ran different suspension every moto at Loretta's.
It happens.
Yeah, I couldn't get comfortable on the bike, and obviously it showed.
Yeah.
So after Loretta's, everyone's like, "What happened?" People were writing me off after one race. I'm like, "Dude, it was what it was." And then that's kind of where it kind of came in with Burner, because he was there for about half the week, and I talked with him a little bit, and I was just like, I mean, I don't, like, I'm just not comfortable. Like, it's.
And you're planning on going to the combine
Right.
Well,
He'd already done one.
Yeah.
you had already done one.
I did one.
Where'd you
at
do
Red
that
Bud,
one at?
At
Oh,
Red Bud.
okay.
Yeah. I guess to backtrack a little bit, I was supposed to race Unadilla Pro National.
Right.
And about halfway through the week, I was like, dude, I'm not with what's going on right now, just results and me, my body, whatever. I'm like, I'm not racing. Like,
right.
I'm not gonna go and get 20th place.
Yeah.
So they were cool with it. Like, they were really understanding. It's like, let's take the time, get you mentally back together, get the bike better.
Yep.
And it helped me a lot. So I ended up racing. I started working with Mike, and for about a month, raced the Combine Ironman.
Yeah, Ironman.
Went 1-1.
Yeah, sweeped it.
Yeah, they switched me over to the pro bike because they had me on an amateur spec, and obviously where they've never had an amateur, like, they don't really
Right.
know.
You were running what, factory connection stuff?
I was on factory connection
Yeah.
suspension. Those guys were on factory Showa, and the struggles were those guys did a lot of testing with factory Showa, and they had a lot of knowledge and with the certain settings and stuff.
Yeah.
But with factory connection, it was like we couldn't really transfer the stuff over, couldn't transfer the knowledge that they had over because the way it works is just it wouldn't work.
Wasn't their stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't their stuff. So it
Right.
just that's kind of what the main struggle was. Like, they're trying to give us some information, but it's like we can't transfer it over when we're running different stuff.
Right.
So that's kind of that's why the struggles were there.
Well, yeah, I mean, Burner, that, the internals and everything, all this stuff on the inside is different.
Right.
So yeah, to try to transfer information over to one setting to another
Yeah, I mean,
whole
and-
different
and you know
setup
what-
is
what every-
impossible.
What every factory team's like, they're not just going to give all their information away either, So
Right.
you're either with them and you're using their stuff, or you're not on it.
So then you go to the combine with Burner, with Burner. You
Yeah.
you guys are already working together.
It actually worked out that weekend because they usually just give us a sheet of paper with, this is your team, for
Right.
for all the coaches, and luckily enough, Chance was actually on my team
Yeah.
for the week of the Ironman Combine, so that actually worked out.
Yeah. That's got to be a pretty proud moment for you too, as well.
Yeah, I mean,
that you start working with a guy and he goes out there and pretty much crushes the weekend.
No, it was great to see the progress.
Yeah.
And just his desire and his drive, so to be better. So that's always nice when you're, working with an athlete to see that. So especially a kid this day and age and being as young as he is. So that makes work a lot more enjoyable. And I wasn't really sure because he was having some struggles physically with some stuff, and 4 weeks isn't that long of a time to see a real big change, but it went well, so it was going in the right direction.
Right. So then in outdoors, you make your pro debut at Fox Raceway.
Yep. The last national.
The very last national. How did that go for you?
So it was pretty good.
And you're on the factory bike at this point.
Yeah, factory
Okay.
bike, factory suspension. So it went pretty good for my first national. I mean, qualifying was at 10 o'clock and it was already almost 100 degrees. Like, I think my first moto was 107. They shortened the motos.
Wasn't ideal for a guy from Idaho.
especially going to Florida during July, and I was like,
Yeah.
I got there, I'm like, this is so hot.
And obviously, yeah, the heat out there is different than out here. It never gets that hot out here, but it's way more humid.
Right.
Dry heat out there because I'm from a half hour from Glen Helen. When it gets over 100 out there, it starts burning your skin. Like, it's nasty.
Yeah. So do that first moto, I got like a mid pack start, and I got ran into third corner and tangled with another dude. So I was last. So I was last, and then charged to about 18th, but I blew my load, dude. I was done, and I got passed by a couple dudes, got 20th, so I scored a point.
Yeah.
And dude, I handed my bike to my mechanic after that first moto, dude. I almost passed out.
Yeah.
Dude, I I sat in the ice bath for it had to have been 10, 15 minutes.
Wow.
I think we had to put you in twice.
Yeah,
Because
Really?
we put him in there and he started feeling better. Then he got out. Then he was getting hot again. So we put him back in.
Yeah.
I
His
was,
core wasn't wanting to cool down.
dude, I was sitting there just trying to keep my eyes open because I was about to pass out.
Yeah.
Like I've never rid my dirt
And
bike
this is
in.
after the first moto.
This is after the first
Oh,
moto.
so you already know in your head, like, there's another one of these?
And then, dude, I get cooled off and I'm sitting up in the locker room and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to drink my protein shake 'cause I can't eat. I'm just like, dude, how am I gonna do this for another 30 minutes?
Yeah. At that level, that
Right.
pace. And obviously you're trying to do your best for yourself, but you're also trying to impress your boys, that you're working for.
Right.
It's your debut, So how did the second moto go?
Yeah, it went better. I got a better start. Didn't tangle with anybody.
Yeah.
Made it through the first lap. I was about, I had to have been probably 10th or something. Probably top 10 for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you were in 8th at one point.
Yeah, I was battling with a group. I think I was behind Marv. He raced the 250 that weekend. I was
Yeah.
behind Marv and Voland. Hunter was actually back there, so I saw Hunter. I was like, I need to follow Hunter.
Yeah.
And he got past Marv, and I couldn't get past Marv.
Right.
And so once I figured out, I'm like, I can't pass Marv, so I tried to just back her down a little bit and calm
Yeah.
down. So I made it till about 25 minutes, and that's when I started tanking, but I ended up 11th. So
Yeah.
I went at 2011 for 15.
Yeah, you got 15th overall.
Yeah, so
You got to walk away from that pretty damn happy.
I mean, all in all, especially with how hot it was and just the circumstances coming
Yeah.
into that with a month before, I'm like, I'm just I'm glad I got a shot at it and just like got experience.
Yeah, it was just good to get that one out of the way before. Now when he goes to a pro national, he's already experienced it. He's going to be in a lot different.
Yeah, I mean he's
physical,
out
mental
there.
shape.
He's out there racing the likes of Marv, and it's
Impressive.
that's a very impressive rider right there, and you're out there racing against that guy, and you got top 15.
Yeah,
And you only
So-
we're barely 17 at that point.
yeah,
Right.
and it was at the
Bob's
time.
30
Yeah,
Yeah.
and at the time I was
with
like,
wins and podiums and
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, it may be, especially my first race, it probably was arguably the hardest race of the year,
Yeah.
especially with just all the circumstances and everything. But
yeah, that track's not ideal either, even when it's good.
Duke, were you at that race?
No, but I was at home standing up in my living room saying, "Watch out, boys."
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said. Told everybody that was in the house, "You got to watch that guy right there. He's coming."
Yeah.
I could hear Duke.
You're just sitting on the line thinking about Duke. I'm like, I know he's somewhere, like just rooting for me.
No, I didn't go to that one.
Yeah.
No, it was good experience though. I mean,
Hey, I hate to back up, but I'm not the best host in the world. But in 21, you raced works races.
yeah. So
That's
back, yeah.
awesome.
He just raced some a couple months ago.
Yeah, back to my older brother's racing a little bit. My oldest brother did some off-road stuff. He
Yeah.
did the works races and some desert stuff, and it was actually it was the end of 2019. My friends RMX series, their last name is Bruffs, and we all went to Lake Havasu and did a NGPC there,
Yeah.
2019, and it's so much different. Like it was so much fun, and obviously it's endurance.
Yeah.
So it was like, not only is it fun, it's good for me.
Right.
So the next year I did two. I did one at Glen Helen,
Yep.
and I did the last round at Havasu in November or what it was. And 2021, I kind of grew a relationship with Mark Samuels, SLR Honda. So they're like the factory Honda of off-road.
Right.
And
Which used to be Johnny Campbell back in the day, and then
yep.
yeah. I
Yes.
know a lot of those guys actually from being out, from being from there.
Yes.
XR 650 days.
Yeah.
Yes, I grew a relationship with Mark, and even Cole Martinez. He used to race Supercross, and his brother, and Talon LaFontaine. Those guys both ride in Supercross, so there was kind of that relationship there.
Right.
So even beyond the Cowie, they would help me. I'd pit with them, and it was cool. I built a relationship with those guys, and I wasn't like the odd man out coming off road. Like I actually started to get to know people, like just
Right.
kind of like we go to motor races. And so I did the first round of NGPC. I was actually winning, and then I hit a silt hole, endoed,
Oh, wow.
tweaked my bars, and then where they did the track, it went over it like went through a fence or something, and I caught barbed wire, and it wrapped up in my hub, hit me in the back.
Oh, wow.
And I have scars on my back right now.
From barbed wire out in the middle of the desert.
Just whipping me in the back.
Yeah.
And so it made a bad race just go to worst.
Yeah.
So that was my first like experience or whatever. But
So you ended up getting 3 wins that year in the 250 class?
Yeah. So
at the works?
I did. Yeah, I did. If I remember right. So I did the first round of works. I got second, and then I didn't do any. I raced spring nationals, and then it was actually the 2 weeks after spring nationals. I raced a works race in Havasu. They did Havasu a few rounds there that year with COVID or whatever, and I won. I was actually sick. I don't know how I did it, but like I was tanking the first half, and then I pitted, got gas, got a drink, and I was good. Like I charged, caught the guy in first. It was actually LaFontaine. I passed him, and I won with a pretty big gap, and it was cool. And then I didn't do any for a while, and then I think I did one in May. It was another works race, and it was actually in Idaho at my home track.
Oh, nice.
So it's almost like a must for me. Like I have to do the one at my home track.
Yeah, right.
Like it's cool. So I won that one there by like almost a minute. That was cool. And then I did an NGPC that was also in Idaho at that same track.
Okay.
And I won that one too. It was a mudder.
Yeah.
I won by like 9 minutes or something.
Did you race against Zach Bell? Was Zach Bell racing the off-road stuff?
So he was.
Well, he has been for a while.
Yeah. So he was 450 class, but I think if I remember right, he might have been hurt.
Yeah, he did get injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it turned into something for me that was just fun, and
Right.
to change it up from the same thing. I mean, it's a long year for amateurs. I mean, you got 5 races, but you have such a big gap between them.
Yeah.
So it's just like it helps break it up, and honestly, you're still getting you're getting almost better benefits from it too.
Right.
And it's different chase. I would even say it helped me with moto. I mean, you learn so much. The tracks develop different.
Yeah.
It's a lot rougher. I would say it even helped me with that.
And there's another race that's kind of near and dear to me, being from like right around Glen Helen, and it's a race I've been to a lot, is the 24 hours of Glen Helen. And you ended up going to do that one as well.
Yeah. I don't remember.
That was this year.
Yeah, that was
Last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
Or 2022. Yeah, sorry. We're only in January, bud. I'm still, when I write the date down, I'm still writing 22.
Yeah, in October. So I did, after Loretta's, I went home for a week. I did an off-road race in Idaho again.
Yeah.
I raced on my 450. Mark brought me some off-road suspension, and I pit with Mark, so I have a good relationship with Mark. And so I won that. And I think it might have been like 2 days after that. He's like, I get a text from Mark. He's like, you want to race 24 hour? I'm like, and I'm sitting there looking at him like, do I want to? So I text him. I'm like, what? Give me some details here. Like, what are we riding? He's like, I'll prep a bike. I'll prep a 450X. Get a 4-man team. You, Cole Martinez, Ryan Surratt, and we were trying to get Keith Harrison. So the idea behind it was try to get 4 dudes from all the Honda teams. So SLR, JCR, Phoenix, and HRC. But Heath ended up, I guess they had some team stuff, so Heath couldn't come. So he ended up getting his 250 guy. Mark did. It was Jack Simpson. So all 4 of us raced, and dude, that thing was a blast.
Yeah, I bet.
Raced at
I've
night.
never raced it. I've been doing it a bunch of times, and obviously when the nighttime comes around, like we're putting fuel. I always help people out, And
Right.
Such a cool race.
Yeah, it was such a cool experience for me. I mean, I slept maybe 2 hours the whole night.
Yeah.
I had 3 night shifts, but dude, you don't get to ride at night ever.
Right.
Like it was such a cool experience, especially moto track and at Glen Helen, if any place.
Yeah.
So it was a cool experience.
You guys ended up winning it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Glen Helen. You miss Glen Helen, Burner?
Yeah, I wish they still went there now.
I mean, as a kid going there for a national, like there's no other track that has elevation like that, obviously.
No, and it's
Such a classic.
you go from that to Parla.
Nothing gets better than Glen Helen on a Thursday during
Everybody
the summer.
says that. Everybody has to go there on open ride day or whatever on a Thursday. It's just like that place is hell.
Dude, there was days I was out there till 4 or 5. I'm like, dude, why am I riding right now?
Yeah, Thursdays at Glen Helen. If you're there past noon, it's a different ball game.
Just
Yeah.
a whole different ball.
Practice starts at 9, and you're it's 11 o'clock and the track's already destroyed. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, if you get there, if you get there at 9 and you pan out your motors, you leave there feeling really good about yourself because the track's sick.
I mean,
Gotta
It's
be out there
smooth.
by noon.
But if you get out there at
but if
noon,
you're doing motos in the afternoon
yeah,
and you're hauling ass,
that's different.
that place will make a man out of you.
Yeah, well, for sure.
It's cool staying there till the afternoon though, because you get a lot of off-road guys coming
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I used to do GPs there, SRA GPs, and
It was funny.
I wish it's probably like one of the most big, the biggest thing that I miss about California is obviously riding all the hidden tracks that little Kiefer's riding out. Like when I see his Instagram,
Up in the high
Out in
des.
the hills.
that's where I'm from, and so like I know all those tracks, and when it rains out there, it's the best thing ever. That's the only thing I miss about the state of California. But places like Glen Helen, I never really liked Paris or stuff like that. It was always about Glen Helen, but there's so many tracks out there that nobody knows about that are just amazing. Out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, I mean, where SLR is from, like Yucca Valley, I went out there with one of my buddies was actually like their amateur rider. So I rode with him out there. Cole took us on some trail rides out in Yucca Valley.
Yeah.
But dude, it's just like it's so much different than where I grew up riding.
Have you been to Pioneer Town in Yucca Valley?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's like a little cowboy town out in the middle of nowhere that like everybody rides their dirt bikes to. Restaurant, bar, literally in the middle of nowhere. But they used to film old Western movies out there, but there's so much riding out there, it's stupid. I mean, I'm sure there is in Idaho as well.
Yeah, it's in Idaho, like in the mountains, it's getting to where it's like you're getting a lot of mountain bikers and stuff, so it's getting a lot more controlled or whatever. But like where I grew up, riding out in the desert, like that's what I miss about being home. Or like even when I'd go off to races, dude, like it would always rain when I leave. And it's just like
and you're bummed.
the sand I have there is bottomless sand. Like it's so sick.
Yeah, especially when it's wet.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah.
And it's like
It smells good,
yeah,
like the desert.
you can smell the sagebrush. Like it's
such a. I miss it. I miss it for sure. You've ridden up in the high desert, haven't you?
Yeah, a bunch of times. I mean,
Yeah.
we used to even just go up there to, obviously, what was it, 395?
Yep.
Comp Edge.
Yeah.
Comp
And then
Edge.
it was Comp Edge, Alessi's tracks. Yeah, and just did some riding in the hills too.
Yeah. It's a good place, man. Good place for riding.
I mean, that was so many places to ride when I first came here, like even Railroad Canyon, which was between Elsinore and Murrieta. We used to ride in the hills there when I first came.
Right.
Would be out there on 125s, and then Fro and Rhino would be out there with Factory Cowie pounding out motos, and then
Yeah.
now it's just a bunch of houses.
Yep. Good old days, Burner.
Yep.
Burner, what do you think about this Supercross series that's going on right now? What's your take on how it's going, and do you have any takes on disappointments or no surprises, or how do you think it's going? Start with the 250 class for the West Coast.
My teammate's fast.
Yeah.
We already know that.
Yeah, Jet's being Jet, obviously. But he's, seems a little bit more mature this year. Plus, his starts have been great.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got the bike dialed in, and obviously it's a little bit of a bummer that Faulkner's out. Obviously, I think
Probably
natural raw speed. I think
would have made it more interesting a little bit.
Yeah, and if you look at that class, he's got, even with Jet, he's got more wins combined than every single other kid.
Yeah.
So, obviously a bummer. But then, some of those crashes are also self-inflicted, So it's...
Yeah. I think RJ is going to stay up there with him. I think he's...
Yeah, it's hard. It was hard to say.
Maybe a race win here and there. I don't know.
Yeah, obviously Triple Crown this weekend, right? Or tonight.
Yeah.
So, anything can happen in those short races, that's for sure. After the first race, I was kind of just going to wait a couple of rounds to see how things play out. Obviously, that was a very unique track and situation at the first race with all the rain and the track deteriorating like it did. So that was, last week was like really the first real dry, normal race, but the track was obviously very mellow. I don't know if they didn't have enough dirt or what, but I was at that race and the jumps just seemed very, very small. So for like the rhythm sections and stuff. So, I mean, 450. It's
Any surprises for 450?
it's the normal players.
Yeah.
You know, I think I don't think there's really been any great surprises there. I mean, I was at San Diego watching, and it was like I was looking in the top 13 out of the 14 guys. They were all 250 champs, you know, or 450 champs. You know, so
yeah,
there's a lot of
they're all
a lot
right.
of,
They're
lot
all,
of depth.
Yeah, they're
a
all
lot,
right.
lot of
right
depth, and
there.
a lot of guys that know how to win and know how to ride. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I think the Triple Crown. I mean, it can go really good for you that night, or it can go really bad real quick. So
Yeah.
those short races make it interesting.
Well, hopefully there's a change up in the 450 as far as results, not only for my fantasy, but
Yeah, that hasn't been going well.
well, I got third last weekend, but just because I think the both races that have happened so far or whatever, I think it's been the same running order as results.
Yeah, I mean,
Both-
other than what Basho getting podium instead of Sexton, I think it was
Yeah.
close.
So, Chance, you're making your Supercross debut this year.
Yep.
On the pro side, is that going to be in Tampa?
I got confirmed 4 days ago now that I'm racing Houston next
Oh, you're
weekend.
going to Houston?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were going to Tampa first.
Yeah,
That
that
was-
was the original.
Yeah, that
plan.
was original, but they letting me do the first round through Daytona, then we'll reevaluate.
Yeah. So next weekend.
Yep.
Super exciting.
Wow.
I'm sure you're excited.
Yeah,
Oh,
really
yeah.
excited.
But you've been under the lights since 12, so you should be used to it. So that shouldn't make you nervous. You just go out there and do your thing.
Right, and doing the futures last year.
Yeah.
I feel like it's taken away the nervous part about being under the lights with all the people there.
Right.
Especially at Salt Lake, because when they did the futures rounds before Salt Lake, you would do it after qualifying. So it's not the full stadium, you know. Salt
Yeah.
Lake was above average, I would say. It was packed stadium, it was loud. So that was, for me, that it's good to have that experience. I'm
Yeah.
not coming in here and it's like, wow, there's 20,000 people here.
Right. Another good thing is Dukey's going to be there.
I know. He's going to be in the mechanics area.
He's going to be.
You'll
there.
hear me.
Yeah,
He's going to be there.
Dukey's
and-
guy's making his pro debut too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pro debuts going on next weekend.
RJ's too.
Guys that obviously you've worked with. You've worked with Aiden and
The Dade City local, Aiden Shive.
I mean seriously, like half of Day City is going to be in Houston next weekend, pretty much.
I think that's what's going to be the shocker for our guys, and we keep kind of saying, it's a whole new ball game once you're in that stadium, and that what you addressed. Aiden, I know, has done a futures.
Yes.
And his was at Salt Lake, so that's
Right.
going to be a little bit, but
Houston's a dome. Has Aiden ever even been inside of a
I
dome?
don't think he's ever been inside of it.
Yeah, totally different.
Oh, yeah.
Totally different feeling as well.
You're down there on
That's-
that floor.
That's one of those things too. Like you can tell them what you want, but until they
Exactly.
go in there and they actually feel it for themselves, that
Yeah.
I think as long as they have the right guidance behind them and like don't rush it,
yeah, you got to have a game plan.
learn the track, take it easy, and then go from there. But hopefully they don't lose their patience and go out there and stack it up, which I don't think they will. I mean, I think they got enough people behind them, and Duke's going to be there to help them. You're going to the race too, Burner,
Yeah, I'll
right?
be there.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go to Houston, but I will be in Tampa, whipping everybody in shape, especially you, Dukey.
Thank you.
And so no, that's very exciting for you, Chance. We all wish you the best of luck, obviously,
Yeah, thank you.
going into it. And Burner, proud of you, buddy. Me and Burner have been around each other for a long time now, a lot of years.
I think we were listening to Chance. We were probably retired when he started riding 65. So.
So 2005.
2014, didn't you say?
Yeah, it's
I'm just trying to think. No, it was 2009 is when we started working together. 2009.
yeah, 2012 was my first year on a 65.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are old.
I think we
we
started working
are
together.
old AF.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was
Not as old as Dukey, but
end of 08, right?
end of 08, yeah.
Yeah.
Started
What
it.
year did you retire?
13.
2013.
I was 6.
2012. Yeah, that was a
Yeah. I'm not
High,
retired.
a big high and a big low.
I'm not retired, but I did leave the industry, I think, in 2017, 18, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think because Chad's stuff ended in 15, right?
Yeah,
As
but
far as the team goes, and then obviously
I worked with
went-
Chad when he was on Huskies and
yeah,
all that.
and you continued on the after the 2-2 Motorsports
Yeah.
thing.
But yeah, it was a long road. Me and you, Burner, we're still getting after it.
Yep. Still.
Now we're just
still
playing-
live in the same town.
Now, yeah, now we're just playing golf and barbecuing. That's about it.
Yep. Taco Tuesdays.
Taco Tuesdays and Tyler, you've been quiet over there, buddy.
Just listening to the information flow. I'm also messing with our video switcher, trying to act as a producer.
You got a new toy.
Oh yeah, you're switching it up while the boss is away.
Yeah, that's me. Look at me. I'm switching on the fly right now. Burner, I'm looking at you, Chance, and then the Duke himself, right there. They don't. You can't see it, but we gotta make some adjustments as we. This is day one. I spent like 3 hours setting this up right now, and yeah, we're so far liking it, but it can be improved.
Aren't you going to Dade City? Dade City's have a first round of their series tonight, right?
Yeah.
Aren't you going to a race tonight when your brother's racing?
So I don't know if my brother's gonna race anymore. Turn me down a little bit, would you? I don't know if my brother's gonna race anymore. I'm number 5.
Yeah, I knew that.
But I know that my very good friend, his name's Ian Millett. He's going to race. So I might go out there if I have time. But we're going to get yelled at because that will, when we discuss the Supercross and we discuss Dade City Round 1, we're dating the show.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a good
happens.
show, right? So,
Yeah, it happens.
so I guess it doesn't matter then. So,
Well, I mean, I'd rather date the show on this one, to be honest with you, because RJ and his team are, the guys that are racing with them, and they're out in Anaheim right now. And he took the boys out there. They had a meeting with Oakley, and they got to go to Fox and this and that or whatever. When RJ gets back from...
he better bring me something back nice.
Oh, my God. When they get back, I believe me and RJ are going to do like a Anaheim 2 recap, and we'll do another show. So, listen, we dated it, but it is what it is. I'm just happy to have all you boys here, and we're getting a show, and we're getting the content out for Future Motocross Radio, and we're actually growing. It's going really good. This is the first time ever we've de-virginized somebody on a podcast, and that's Chance Hymas. So that's cool. We're making history. So yeah, thanks for coming on this show. Dukey, thanks for coming on again.
Yes, sir.
I think we're going to wrap this one up. We all have things to do today. I know I'm going to put up a fence at my house because I have honeydews I got to do. But yeah, like I said, thanks, and good luck to you boys coming up. All of you, all 3 of you guys going to Houston next weekend, and good luck.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chance.
Yeah.
Glad
Thanks,
you're going to
Duke.
be racing Houston.
Yes, sir.
That's
Thanks,
cool.
Duke.
We're all going to be rooting for each other.
I'm a fan.
So yeah, very good, and thanks Tyler for all your production and your new toys that you brought into the show and making the show grow and making it happen. I appreciate it. All right, thanks for listening to Future Motocross Radio, and we'll see you boys.
Red Bud.
Oh my gosh, Dukey fit it in. All right, see you guys.